Well, Tom Carroll serves as the Superintendent of Schools for the Archdiocese of Boston. As we look forward to celebrating Catholic School Week, we thought it'd be great for Tom to join us. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me on, Jay.
So you're new to the Boston area. You're a New Yorker. It's okay, you know. And you were living up by Albany, right?
Yeah, I live at Saratoga.
Okay, beautiful.
And then last April, Cardinal O'Malley designated me as the new superintendent of schools.
So what was it like when you first got here, the first few months? Because it's a huge job, a lot of different things going on. Was it a big transition? Was it a fun transition? What was it?
It's been a lot of fun, very rewarding. But just to give people a sense of the scale of it, particularly as we enter into Catholic Schools Week, we have more than 30,000 students, about 3,000 teachers, more than 100 schools scattered across the Archdiocese. And as you know, the Archdiocese covers a lot of territory outside of Boston. So the biggest thing I learned is that 14 miles is not 14 minutes.
Well, you must have been in Westwood by Severian.
Yeah. I was late for every meeting for about a week until I figured out that key insight.
And it's been a great shot in the arm, I think, for all of us, for the Cardinal, for the priests, and for principals and teachers in Catholic schools to have you around, because you took the time to get to know us, to get to know the schools, and to assess the lay of the land, even though you might have been a little late. And we're grateful for that. As a pastor of a parish that has a great Catholic school, could you tell us what some of your goals are, because I know they're good ones, for schools in general in this Archdiocese?
Yeah, the first thing is to make sure that Catholic identity is strong, meaning put the Catholic back into Catholic schools, if you will. One of the reasons that Catholic schools are different is because we believe that every child in our schools was created in the likeness and image of God. That affects every single thing we do within the schools. It affects the sense of community that we build in the schools, the size of the schools that allows kind of this one-on-one attention that you don't necessarily get in a much larger school system. And it affects kind of how everybody relates to each other and the virtues that we instill, and that we could have open discussions about faith. We don't have all the restrictions that a typical district school or a charter school would have. So a lot of our parents are Catholic, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of people just like that it's a faith-filled environment. So we have a tremendous number of people from other faiths that are in the school because they like that we can welcome God into our school. He's there whether we welcome him or not. But that we can talk openly about that with the children and reinforce kind of the virtues and the faith that they're trying to teach their children at home. Parents, in the end, are the first educators of all the children, but we want to take a walk with them to help their children lead a life of faith and bring Jesus Christ into their life.
We talk about the dignity of each person, and since we believe that in the core of our existence, we have a lot of people who go to Catholic schools who it's hard financially for them to get there. So there's subsidies. What are some of the challenges to make sure that everyone who wants to go to a Catholic school can actually get into a Catholic school?
Yeah, one of the things, first of all, the tuition levels vary greatly from school to school across the Archdiocese. So there are a lot of different options at different price points, if you will. We also benefit from the generosity of literally thousands of donors. A lot of them graduated from Catholic schools themselves. Others are businessmen who just think it's a good value, that we do a really good job educating kids. Very high percent, 98% of the kids end up going on to college. So some businessmen who aren't even particularly religious put up money because they think it's highly, it's a good deal. So because of all that, we distribute $8–10 million in scholarships every year that allow people to come in. And as you know, we don't check people's religion card when they walk in. We serve everybody. And that's one of the unique things about the Catholic school system, is the diversity of people you'll see within our schools. People from all different countries, people whose parents speak all different kinds of languages. And it's one of the things that gives our schools a lot of richness.
I mentioned earlier that we have great leadership at our school in Walpole, Dustin Demers and Nancy Carroll, principal and vice principal. Leadership, I know you agree with me, is absolutely critical, and looking forward to providing good leadership for schools, not waiting until there's an opening. That's
Right.
a priority of yours, too.
So we're moving towards, I used to run a network of schools in the city of Albany, and what I learned over a period of 12 years is it's all about leadership. So when a school closes, a lot of people say it closed because of finances or low enrollment. But those are the symptoms, not the cause. The cause, generally speaking, are two factors. One is just demographics. Some of the schools are in locations that made sense 50 to 75 years ago, and they don't anymore. So within the tech corridor towards Boston, you have 75% of our buildings, but 75% of the Catholics are actually outside of that corridor. So that's the demographic side of it. But more often than that, it's just simply a quality of leadership. So we're going to start doing, which we stopped about 20 years ago, going back to annual evaluations of all school leaders. We're also going to do year-round school recruiting, what you referred to. In the past, we'd wait for an opening to occur and then go look for somebody. But we know there's a certain number of openings every year. And so we're constantly scouring for talent, not just in the Boston area, but literally across the house. So we're actually taking over a building to create housing for people who move into the Boston area. It's tough to recruit people into Boston because of the high cost of living here. So we're trying to make that a little easier for younger people coming in, trying to figure out how they can make do in Boston for the first time. So there are a lot of different steps. We're also, we have our principals enrolled in the Lynch Leadership Academy at Boston College, which is actually a tri-sector approach with district schools, charter schools, and Catholic schools, learning how to be good leaders, strong leaders, and how to focus on the quality of instruction.
Well, we have the March for Life coming up soon. Any plans for the schools?
Sure. We have hundreds and hundreds of students that are hopping on buses to go down to the March for Life. And it's more than, for those who participate, it's more than a life. It's more than a march. Actually, the march tends to be a crawl, not quite a march. But it's teaching them not only about the life issue, which is a central, preeminent issue of our time, but the one thing that Catholic teaching has is a consistent life ethic that runs from protecting the unborn to taking care of the poor to respecting the elderly and to taking special care of people that may be laboring with one disability or another. So it's important when children are in our schools that they learn about the moral teaching of the Catholic Church as well, because it's a very consistent way that we teach people from conception all the way to death. And they need to know that example. And so the March for Life is about protecting the unborn, but it's also about protecting life through all of its stages as well.
We'll be celebrating Catholic Schools Week, different school coming in next week every day for the TV Mass, and I'm sure you'll be celebrating the week too.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity for parents who want to take a look, whether they're in a school and they might want to shop around for kind of the next stage of the child moving up to a middle school or high school, but also people who just want to take a look and kind of kick the tires and see what it's like. So we welcome anybody to come in who wants to check out Catholic schools next week. Virtually all the schools have open houses, so it's a great time to be able to hop in and out of multiple schools in the same time period and get a sense of what school is the best fit for a particular child.
And where can people learn more about Catholic education in the Archdiocese of Boston and to support the work?
Yeah, so they can go on to the Archdiocesan website or specifically on the Catholic Schools website as well.
Tom, thank you so much for accepting the role and the leadership responsibility and all you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.